This week's episode of the Lucky Breaks podcast features Mike Holt, a serious competitor and professional photographer and videographer who's bringing broadcast quality competitions to the San Diego pool scene via his Mothlike TV YouTube channel, enabling this vibrant community of pool enthusiasts to play on the TV table and win big money. We hope you enjoy. Welcome, everyone, to the latest edition of the Lucky Breaks podcast. I'm Sue Lueder, and today I'm here with Mike Holt. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, Sue.
So we're going to get into some tournaments that Mike has been getting off the ground, as well as his YouTube channel. But before we get into that, Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into the game of pool and sort of how you came to the San Diego pool scene?
So the history starts when I was about 12, and my brother was playing tennis at a local tennis club, and they had a clubhouse with a tiny English pool table in there, 6 foot by 3 foot.
Oh, that's small.
And so he took me in, and we started to play a few games, and I loved it. I would be in there any bit of spare time that I could, and the bartender was cool. He didn't bother about me being underage, because it was kind of like in a little side room. And that developed in the UK, of course, that's where I was living, into playing snooker. And I would eventually end up running a snooker club and playing morning, noon, and night. It was 24 hours a day, this place. So I'd be playing money games and tournaments. And so my early, all the way through to, let's say, about 25, 26, 27, I was playing all the time. And then I got into a serious relationship. And as things you may have heard from other people, the cue sports ended up taking a back seat.
Right.
And there was a long hiatus. There's something like 15 years, and I didn't really play. And then we ended up moving to the States. We moved to San Francisco. And there was nowhere to really play snooker. There was a place in San Jose. So I'd take the long drive all the way down there. And there's a real cool club there called CA Snooker. Wonderful talent, owned by a guy, Ajay Prahabak, who I don't know if I pronounced his name correctly. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. But he runs the USA Snooker organization, and he's one of the US champions. And then we ended up moving to San Diego. And there was one wonderful snooker table in Billiard Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd go there playing, but there was never anybody to play.
Yeah, it's not as popular here.
Yeah, the pool was always busy, and there's lots of action going on. So one day I was in there on a Wednesday, and the BCA guys were in. And I started just hitting balls with them, and they told me all about Fran. And so I met Fran Smith, the infamous Fran Smith.
Yeah.
And I was subbing for a while, and then I ended up joining and played in the 10-ball league. And also subsequently in the 8-ball league on the bar box tables as well. So that was probably about 2-3 years ago.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
I just thought you'd been playing for so much longer.
Well, I've played snooker.
Yeah.
But my experience in the pool world is kind of still new. But there's a lot of transferable skills.
Yeah.
But the learning curve has very much been, learning the pool table, learning the tactics, learning the strategies, pattern play, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm still getting there with that.
Yeah, I've never played snooker, so you see so many famous snooker players. Alison Fisher is a good example who converted to, regular pocket billiards or pool, and they've just, kicked so much butt. I assumed it was just an easy transition. What was the hardest part?
The hardest part is you look at the tables and you think, oh, this is the same, but actually it's not the same. And snooker players tend to look down the noses at pool thinking it's an easy game. Believe me, there's just as much skill and artistry required and finesse to play pool, if not more. In snooker, for example, all the coloured balls are always on the same spots. Okay. And there's a cluster of reds, which tends to be in the middle of the table. You've got a pot of red, pot of colour, which gets respotted on the same spot. So the black ball, being the highest valued, is right at the top of the table. And so if you could play red, black, red, black, red, black, you can get a lot of points real quickly. And it's just all very short shots, little stun, little screw, little stun, little screw. So the cue ball's never moving very far. Contrast that with rotation. The balls are all over the table. You've got to manipulate. You've got to come around 3 rails, 4 rails. So you're always learning and always moving the balls around a lot more.
Yeah.
The distance traveled by the cue ball is far greater. So I think you need a lot more positional skill to play all the way around the table on every shot in pool than you'd ever see in snooker. So that's just one small example.
Yeah, it's making me think about, when you're playing a game of pool and you are playing that position, and on the first shot you get slightly out of position, guess what? You need to set up a whole new pattern that you're going to play. And sounds like you don't really have to do that as much in snooker.
Oh, I mean, yeah, if you were getting the position exactly where you wanted it.
Of course.
But generally, the ball's not doing as much moving, the cue ball.
Yeah.
But on the other side, the flip side, the bigger table, smaller pockets, means that you do need to have good fundamentals and a good technique. That's why so many snooker players coming over to pool are great at pocketing the ball. And if they can then get their head around the mental side, the psychological side, and learn the strategies and patterns, they can be extremely good, just like Alison turned out to be. But there's a few others like Chris Smelling and, and others.
Yeah, nice. Okay, well, it sounds like you've had a really lovely and wonderful journey in the pool world and snooker world. Tell us what you're doing now with these tournaments you started.
Well, as you may know, and we're going to probably talk about it more later, I started recording myself. And I do video, photography, and all sorts of stuff as my job, as my business.
Okay.
And the business is mothlike.com if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
And so initially I was just doing it for my own interest so that I could watch myself play, because having read all the books on snooker when I was a teenager, I knew the importance of fundamentals. But you don't really know what you're doing. You know what it feels like, but you can't see yourself. And, there's some drills where you set up a mirror and you look and see the elbows in line. But recording yourself with a camera is the gold, because now you can be your own coach. So I started to do that. And then I was recording just practice sessions initially on a phone. Then I started using some of my cameras. Then that ran into recording league games. And then I started posting stuff. And then we went to Vegas. And wow, then it took off after that. There's so much interest in the BCA Nationals. Yeah. So then the stream started to get more and more elaborate. And then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to put some energy into this and see what we can do about showcasing the amateur pool scene here in San Diego. And so instead of just streaming league, I thought, why not try doing a tournament of my own? And then, of course, I can film all of that and stream that. And it's not an original idea. It was actually Collins Newey, who runs the wonderful Post Up YouTube channel, based out of Sacramento. He works closely with Oscar Dominguez, but he also does the Griff's events, the US Open, and many others. And he's a wonderful streamer, and I've used him as like a template to try and emulate. And it's a great idea. He does some wonderful tournament series. And so I'm just starting out. I've got the third event, the third monthly stop, coming up on Tuesday. And then we've got another big one on the 5th of July. And I'm going to try and make that the biggest one yet. We're opening it up to 680 Fargos and under. But I'm doing a unique style because I want a decent race in 9-ball, WNT rules. So this one's going to be a race to 7 on the A side. It's a modified single elimination. But for every 40 points of Fargo difference, you have to give 1 rack on the wire to your opponent, up to a maximum of 3 racks on a race to 7. So that's kind of a good handicap.
So a 4-7 race for someone like me. I'm a 455 right now.
So if you're 55, I'm 560.
Yeah.
So you'd get 2 racks on the wire. If there was a 120-point difference, however, you'd get the full 3 racks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is substantial.
Yeah.
And if I dog a 9 and you do a nice early 9, then, you can be in it with. So the idea was to try and level that playing field. After having played in the Lucasi event, which is a wonderful tour that Oscar runs, I found that the handicapping there was a little favoring for the better players. They run 9 for pros, 8 for semi-pros, your likes of Josh Watson. Myself, I'd be in the next category down, which are veterans racing to 7, and then the sort of lowest level would race to 6. So, someone who's a 480 playing Oscar, 6-9 race,
forget about it.
There's only one winner. So that's going to be the Mothlike series. And if you check out Mothlike on Facebook, you'll see all about that. And details. And I'm sure we'll put some stuff in the show notes of how people can enter.
A couple more questions about the series. So you mentioned you're following the model of the post-up. Now, are you streaming more than one table, or is there just one TV table?
Good question. The first event, we had 16 players. And we call that the Mothlike Masters. And I tried to stream all 4 tables simultaneously. And WNT, run by Matchroom, they also cover the Judgment Day qualifiers for the World Snooker Championships. And they have this thing where they jump around from table to table. They actually have something like 8 tables in operation. But they've got a full professional broadcasting organization behind them.
Yeah.
So it was just me. It was actually Michael Fernandez, the awesome San Diego pool player.
He's
Big
great.
shout out to him.
Yes.
He's a great streamer as well. You should definitely check out his stream. So he was helping me in a big way. But it was so tough. We were using 2 smart cameras and trying to program them and move around. So we found that in the end, we weren't covering any of the tables properly. So for the second iteration, I decided to have 1 dedicated stream table, and the other 3 tables we recorded in full. And then I later edited those and added a commentary track. So you had a live stream that went out on the day of the event, which was table 1, and then tables 2, 3, and 4. All those matches were then edited and posted on a day-by-day basis, like a YouTube premiere, so that everyone who enters gets to see their entire match.
Oh, wow, cool.
And everyone who's interested in the tournament gets to see every match that's played, every ball that's been hit.
Yeah.
So that's the new format that I'm going to use moving forward. Now, for the next event, if it turns out to be a bigger event, let's say we get 16 or 32 players, then we will still only be able to record the 3 tables with 1 live stream. So it will only be later in the tournament that we capture every hit that's made.
Yeah.
Just because I can't possibly record 8 tables simultaneously.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I'm having ideas as you're talking. So one thing that stood out to me in the BCA, when I was helping you do some of the recordings and talking to Michael as well, and thinking about recording, so many of us are getting that bug to get so much better at our game, and we're starting to record our own matches. I have a tripod just sitting in my cue case now that's ready for me to pull out and use. I'm thinking that I wonder if there's a way to sort of crowdsource some of these streams or recordings.
That's a great idea.
And I don't know. It's just a seed of an idea, but
No, I love that, because ideally, you want to have every match covered.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we could definitely look at.
Yeah.
And we can invite the players who are on those other tables to maybe stream.
Yeah.
And it's not a requirement.
Yeah.
But it is great.
And like tag it or something and make it available, and then all of a sudden you get this sort of, you could get some viral growth on these things. So that's cool. So tell me again about the rating levels you're looking at. So I think you said 580 or 680 and lower. Yeah.
So previously it's always been 620 Fargo and under. But this one I've decided to open it up to 680s and under. And that's because I wanted to include the likes of Josh Watson, Nyan Tamrakar, Winnie Tolentino, Sean Murphy.
Jared Pitts was
Jared,
650,
exactly.
yeah.
Jared, don't forget him. So to get all of those guys in, and also if some of the crowd from Los Angeles wanted to come down, you've got the wonderful Mez series up there. Yeah. And so I wanted to invite them in as well. And to make it fair, we've got this thing where the winner's bracket is going to be a race to 7. And as I said, every 40 points of Fargo difference is 1 rack on the wire, up to a maximum of 3 racks. There is also modified single elimination in this tournament. So the previous ones were all single elim. 1 loss and you're out.
Oh, man.
Huge pressure, especially if you're paying $100 to buy in.
Yeah.
It's big money.
Yeah.
So actually it was Nyan gave me the suggestion, why don't you try the modified single elim that they do in APA? And so that is where everybody's guaranteed at least 2 matches, but not necessarily 2 defeats.
Right.
So the first round, and the one on this coming Tuesday, we've got 8 players all registered. So that those 4 matches, you'll have 4 winners. All 4 losers will go to the losers bracket.
Yeah.
And the people who lose the second round on the winner's side also go over.
Nice.
But thereafter, that's it.
They're out. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just gives everybody a chance. You're guaranteed to get at least 2 games.
Yeah.
And then that losers bracket, they play down to 2 players, and those 2 come back in the semi-final stage.
Nice. Cool. And you'll be streaming this on Tuesday?
That will be streamed on Tuesday,
okay.
Starting at 6:30.
Okay.
We'll have the main table on live stream on the Mothlike YouTube channel, and also on the new Facebook page for Mothlike, where we do Facebook Live as well.
Got it. And the venue?
It's on cue.
On cue?
Yeah.
And that brings me to another sort of area I've been thinking about is how do we incentivize the venues to support these tournaments and events? Because you're taking valuable table time from them that they might be getting, paying customers in to use? Are you paying them greens fees or what's going on there?
Absolutely. We're absolutely paying green fees. I don't want to take any tournament director fees because as far as I'm concerned, the win is to have eyeballs on my channel.
Yeah, for sure.
So that means that there's more money to divide amongst the players. For example, in the last one, we had 12 players in, and we did that as a single elimination. But there was actually $900 divided amongst the two finalists. So
wow.
Big money.
Yeah, that's great.
And I want to continue offering big money whilst at the same time being fair to the venue. And I want to say a huge kudos to Clyde Norris and his team at OnCue.
I love OnCue.
They really do want to support pool, and he was very open to me running tournaments there. And he's supported obviously a lot of people. And I think it's just about giving back as well. So I'd say that the amount that we're going to give is probably close to, let's say, the membership rate that he's being paid.
Okay, yeah.
But what it does, it brings a whole bunch of people into the venue, and they're going to be stimulated to practice more, hopefully buying drinks, putting money over the bar. So I think it's good business sense as well. Plus, we're streaming and getting the word out there.
Yeah.
And that's all eyeballs. So I'd say the future model for a venue like OnCue would be to have a series of tables with permanent live stream setup so that it's not the likes of me going in with my gear, and you've seen me.
Yeah.
I come in with my little bag and then I'm putting, it used to be just a phone, but now I've got multiple poles and cameras and like mixing desks and all stuff. And I put it all up, do my stream, and then I got to take it all down, take it all away. So I think the future will be to obviously have setups permanently in venues. So let's see how things go. But if it grows and gets more popular, then we can have those conversations. It's about putting brackets up and things so that you can have cameras in the correct positions and lighting in the right positions. And so on.
We've been, a friend of mine and I were talking about this as well, where it would be nice to just have sort of a permanent sort of rack almost in the center of the table, looking down, so you could see the position of the balls, and then also just, how straight your stroke is and all of that good stuff.
Well, even if you look at college billiards right now, they have a big carom scene there. In fact, the owner, name's on the tip of my tongue. I think it's...
we can put it in the show notes.
We'll have to find that. Find that one for me. But he is a top player. He's one of the best three-cushion billiard players in the US. And he's invested a lot. They actually have the perimeter lights on all their tables, but they've also got this special camera right above the table, which gives that vertical top-down view. And that's great. So, I mean, it's not a big investment. If you look at maybe a club and it gets refurbished, let's say OnCue were to install new lighting. Now, okay, they've got a lot of tables, so they'd start out and maybe do the first 6, rather like they do when they're recovering tables. And with the installation of the perimeter lighting, which would be much higher up, that's when you put that camera in, and it gives that live stream option. And of course, that could be something that maybe people who are renting that table could maybe pay a little extra. And then they can have the live stream, which they can then share with all their friends, which of course is going to be more advertising for the venue.
For them,
So there's potential there. Obviously, it's all money at the end of the day. It boils down to that. But I think it's got potential to go in that direction.
For sure. One thing we're just so excited about is how popular the game seems to have gotten over the last couple of years. And those of us at sort of the lower skill levels are really, hustling to get up to the higher skill levels. And we need that. We need to be able to watch ourselves play to see those fundamental flaws that we have.
So. I think it's not just the watching; it's the playing of the better players, because that is how you get to learn.
Yes.
Sometimes the big beats and the bad beats, those are the ones that you're going to go away and think, wow, this is what I have to emulate. That's what I have to strive for.
Yeah.
And you get to see close up, real. It's one thing watching a stream on TV or on wherever, but when you're actually next to the table, watching a skillful player go about the business, I think that can be extremely motivational. And you can pick up on just little things. Like I was just watching one of the Oscar Dominguez matches, just watching how just a little thing where as he's just addressing the cue ball for those first few preliminary waggles, that he's actually just almost flicking the cue around. So he's actually making sure he's got this very light grip, like a finger-like grip. And then he just does one nice backswing, and you see the palm of the hand opening up.
Yeah.
So he's really holding the cue so very gently, and then the smooth stroke going through. And so that one little thing to bear in mind that you can learn by watching a great player, and that could be one of the secrets that could make you move up to the next level. If you can then incorporate that into your regular play.
Yeah. And I'm just imagining sort of watching side by side someone like Oscar or even someone closer to my level and what they're doing. And then side by side watching my own, what am I doing? Oh, I'm inconsistent. I'm doing it this way one shot, and then the next shot I'm doing it a little bit different, or the way I stance. And you can feel that it's happening, but being able to see it is a whole new thing. So
yeah, I mean, I want to quote Niels Fahan here.
Yeah,
and I think Josh maybe referenced the mental toughness course that he offers from the Terminator College. I did that. I paid the money, and I think it's well worth it.
Really?
A shout out to Niels Fahan, definitely. But what I would say, he talks about unconscious incompetence. That is where you don't know what you're doing wrong. Now, what you need to do is become consciously incompetent. So you need to know what you're doing wrong. Now, the way you know what you're doing wrong is either somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, Sue, do you know you're lifting your head up on every shot?" Now, not everybody does that. Some people just let you carry on, and you still do it. So having the camera there, you can then become consciously incompetent. Then you can say, "Okay, I'm now going to determine to keep my head down every shot." So every shot, you really focus on keeping your head down. So you're being consciously competent.
Yes.
But after 2 or 3 weeks of practice and doing that every day, then you can stop thinking about it, and it will happen naturally. Then you are unconsciously competent, and that is what you need to get to.
Yes.
Because you've got to be thinking about the lie of the balls, the pattern play, not about don't move my head as I'm moving my arm back.
You know what's so hard about this, though? And I'm remembering a couple of instances, and one actually with you as well, where I was doing something wrong. And this was years ago, back in the Bay Area. I had a very experienced player tell me, "Sue, you're never going to get better if you don't fix your bridge."
Right.
I didn't ask them for this advice at all. And he basically called my bridge an air bridge, and it's just embedded in my brain. And he was completely right. I did not want to hear it because we have these ideas of ourselves that we're good. That's not where my flaw is. So the step one is you have to actually be open to what they have to say. And sometimes that's the hardest part. And then one time, I forget what you gave me some critique on a game. And I think at the moment I had literally just lost and I was not in the mood to hear it.
I think I remember now.
Yeah,
I think I remember now, yeah.
And I love that now we're friends. But like at the time I was just really annoyed because I was like, why are you telling me what's wrong with my game? I know I suck. I just lost. But this was a match you had recorded.
Exactly.
And I watched it later.
Yeah, you were running out, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
And in fact, you'd done exceptionally well. And you'd played some beautiful shots. And you had one last ball to play. And I think you had a natural angle just to drop it in. And I think you played something a little bit more ambitious.
Yeah.
And sadly missed the ball.
Yep.
But I know what it's like.
Yeah.
Especially when you're playing in a match environment. The match is being recorded. You're playing someone who you really like to beat if you could. And you're doing brilliantly. And you've potted 1, 2, 3, 4. You've potted 6 balls in a row, and the 7th ball is there with the 8 in it back. So what happens? You get this sense of rising excitement.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to contain. The ego starts talking.
Oh,
and
for sure.
You've done really well here. You've played great here. This is going to be awesome. And then sometimes you can get a little carried away, a little overexcited.
Right.
And I think it's going back to what maybe Michael Fernandez said on this very podcast, is the ability to just step back and just say, okay, the next ball's the important one, and try and just center yourself again, keep yourself grounded. And Niels Fahan, again, the overexcitement trap he refers to, because it can happen. You'll see it so many times. Somebody plays that amazing shot brilliant, opens up the balls, got perfect shape, and then they'll miss a really easy one.
Yeah.
What you have to do, you have to say to yourself when all that excitement and butterflies are inside you, express gratitude. Say, thank you. I'm so grateful that shot went in. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I really want to make the most of it. And it changes that all around to, and now there's something that's goal-oriented, and it can help you next time you're in that situation.
I will remember this, and that I love that turning it into gratefulness, because it just changes your brain into, gets it out of that egotistical place and more into a grounded, centered. Yeah, love that. I also wanted to ask about your YouTube channel, having benefited from it, being on it, and seeing my mistake in full color. And, Aaron and I are starting this podcast and the YouTube channel, and we're just getting off the ground. What advice do you have for us?
My advice would be do what you're doing and just do it.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Just keep doing it. And okay, maybe there'll be little corners that need to be smoothed off later on, bumps in the road. That's natural, that's normal. And this is how you learn by doing. And the more you do, the better you're going to get. Yeah. If I look back to the first videos I posted, kind of basic, with my phone, sound was awful, lighting was awful. I was like maybe at the wrong angle. And then it's only by doing it and then looking at it back, you can actually make improvements. And it's a learning curve as well, because you're improving your skills, you'll be upgrading your equipment. But what you'll be able to do is look back and see what you've created. And what you're doing here is not just about making a podcast, it's about building a community. You are linking players together, you're weaving this community together, and we're all able to tune in, download, subscribe. And it's the same thing that I wanted to do with my channel. I wanted to showcase amateur pool here in San Diego, and I wanted it to be so that it's not just the pros who get to be televised in these wonderful conditions. There's no reason now, with technology the way that it is, that we can't offer production standards and broadcast quality just like you might find on YouTube from WNT or from wherever. So that was my objective, and that's what I'm trying to do. And I was delighted at Vegas this year, the second time I'd taken the Mothlike channel there, that we got to 1,000 subscribers.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love it.
So then I had to start worrying about the next level of like copyright protection and that sort of thing. And again, it was Collins Nui from that Post Up channel, once again giving him a plug. And the way he was managing the sound and the audio and using Artlist for like a licensed music service. So there's all sorts of things that you're going to learn along the way. But what I would say is, channel your passion and enthusiasm and just get out there and keep doing it. And you'll learn by doing, you'll improve by doing.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I love that. We've come to the kind of conclusion. Are there any questions you would like to ask the Magic 8 Ball?
The Magic 8 Ball. Okay.
Have you used a Magic 8 Ball?
I haven't used a Magic 8 Ball.
I don't know if this is an American toy or not, but you ask it a question and then an answer will appear in the little window.
Oh, okay, right.
And it could be about the next tournament or something like that.
Right. Well, I've just done the standings for the Mothlike series.
Okay.
So we've got Luis Abarca in top place.
Love Luis. He's the best. Yeah.
Nelly Del Rosario in
Nelly.
Second spot. And Efren Rodriguez in third place.
That's quite a lineup.
And I'm really delighted to say that I managed to squeeze into fourth spot.
Woo!
So I'm going to ask the 8 Ball.
Okay.
Am I going to be higher or lower than fourth at the end of the year?
Okay. I'll ask.
Being a bit ambitious here.
Signs point to yes.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I've got to put my practice in.
Well, I will say that we have at least one guest who had their 8 Ball question come true.
Wow.
So
excellent.
Let's hope you're one of them.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. This was a wonderful conversation, and I can't wait to tune into the tournament on Tuesday.
Thank you very much, Sue, and thank you, Aaron. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
That wraps up another episode. A big thank you to our guest for joining us today and sharing their story. If you want to connect with our guest, their contact info can be found in the show notes for this episode. Also, Please show your support by liking and subscribing.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Lucky Breaks podcast. You can find more episodes at youtube.com/@luckybreaks-podcast or by searching for Lucky Breaks on your favorite podcast player. This episode was produced by Sue Lueder and Aaron Schulman. Thank you for your support. Sign up to be a guest on a future episode from our YouTube channel page.